Okay, so on that note, just have hit record. It is Friday, January 22nd, 2021 at approximately 3:05 p.m. And I am here with the rest of the DFM Data Course Steering Committee, and they are Jeff Herle, Michael Darden, John Greaves, Linda Goetze, and myself, Denise McCurdy. And with that, we shall get started. So we had a conversation at the last steering committee about the antitrust policy and about referring to it. Subsequently, John, we being Michael and I have had a conversation about, for now, keeping the antitrust policy stated in our documents because it is such a critical underpinning for us. I will not read it out. However, I will just give everyone a moment to read it. Any questions or concerns, definitely see me or your internal counsel.
And John, just again to be clear, I think this is the first bullet point on the action, but while everybody's kind of looking over it on the screen, I did hear you last week as your recommendation to be able to have it referenced in here, but the thought that Denise and I had when we were doing our preparation and recap of the minutes was many of these meetings are being reviewed by the new members that come on board, and they're going back to see the history. And I think the fact that we've been consistent with being able to have it from the very first meeting up until now would make a change for change sake when if anybody goes and picks up on any one of these meetings, they really should be able to see that we've let it off with that commitment to the antitrust. So that was Denise and I thought on it, and it is the first item on the agenda, I believe, for our discussion as well. So if you're okay with that, then for the time being, we'll leave it as being so that it is resident on that first page and call some attention to it as the importance, but we'll not go through the exercise of the steering committee of reading it aloud.
There is no need for an audible recitation of an antitrust document. So long as the document is embedded in the head of the proceedings, it is a matter of record.
Thank you, sir. The point that I was making was that when we had initially adjusted this, the actual edit that Denise made was where it referenced it, and it was a hyperlink that said antitrust policy, but it didn't have the words on the screen anymore. And there was a place to be able to click on it from the PowerPoint slide, but I didn't think that was appropriate. I thought it would make sense for the words to continue to be displayed on that page and a reference be on the bottom of it.
I have to advise you, Michael, that in any meeting that I have attended over the past several weeks, and I've attended meetings with some mighty vast empires, the antitrust statement, which is, it's mandatory, is an HTTP. That's it. Why? Because although antitrust statements might seem consistent across everybody, guess what? Some lawyers use the word if instead of and, or it instead of but, and so on. But at the end of the day, you have to make a statement concerning antitrust, and the statement can be made in any way you choose. If you, as the head of this operation, prefer that it shall be in the manner that we just saw, so be it. But somebody sitting down and reading it out, oh my God.
Yeah, it's not necessary. I agree, but it was. I don't resent doing it from the beginning. I heard your comment from last week. I think a fair and just resolution is for the words to be on the page, for the link to be on the page, and not to read it.
Done.
Okay, moving forward to the agenda, we did a call to order. We did the roll call. Here is the agenda itself. So I'll give you just a moment, and then I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Greaves.
Second?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you for that. Approval of the prior meeting minutes, which were January 6, 2021. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to read those. I sent those out with the steering committee deck. I'm assuming that you have. They're fairly brief. So I would like an approval, please. A motion
Yeah.
to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve minutes, yeah.
And second.
Okay. Any opposition? Okay, hearing none. The minutes are approved. Okay. We talked about the antitrust reading clarification. We're going to go to old business, which is this next slide. We have a few points here to discuss. So we had some action items from the last meeting, which was January 6th. One was to develop antitrust training for the command center / member voice, which I did do. It is a 2.5 minute reading, and then a reason why we're doing the reading, basically the importance of antitrust to DFMDC as a utility. I sent that to Vic. He is in receipt of it. He said it's acceptable. So this one is considered complete. We're going to talk about the shipper agent in a minute. And so I'm going to hold on that one. And then the last one as a carryover was the Sizzle sheet that Michael was to send to John. And Michael, I assume that you did send that, correct? Based on
Do you, I don't know if John has the most recent ones. I know there's a new final for operations and for technical and for governance and for marketing. So there's 4 Sizzle sheets now, but I do not believe that I have taken, I know for a fact that I have not taken the action of sending that to John.
Okay, I'll take the action to send those to John then, the latest.
Thank you. If you could also make sure that they're also stored somewhere in our current Google Drive with the most recent marketing materials.
Yep. Easily done. All right, we just talked about the Sizzle sheets, but now we need to talk about sales activity. So Michael, I'm going to pause the recording and turn this over to you. All right, next we had on the agenda the technical report. Michael, I do have the Slack teed up where Deepak starts to walk us through that if you want us to do that. If so, I suggest we finish the last 2 agenda items so we're not switching back and forth because they'll go fairly quickly.
Go ahead, Denise.
Okay, so we have 2 working groups to stand up. We have the governance and we have the accounting working group. This is where we are. Remember, we're in phase 3. This has been updated so everyone can kind of, flow, track with our progress. Our working group meetings, even though we don't have them, if we don't have any external customers, not necessarily have them, the technical we are, but we still have them regularly scheduled, and you'll note the schedule here. We have not started the governance. I'm going to recommend that we do in fact kick off the governance starting January 27th and keep that every other Wednesday at 2 p.m. So I'll have a discussion first and then I'd like it to be an official motion if that's okay. Any issues with standing up the governance working group?
You will be the one leading it, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Perfect.
I'm not hearing any issues. So motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
All right. You'll see that slotted in starting on the 27th. Thank you for that. And we have 1 to go, guys. We're making great progress. Look at this. All right, let's go back to the agenda. And then lastly, the new shipper's agent. We've had some conversation back and forth about having a new member type. And I will say on public record that I was a little uneasy with adding yet another member type because we have a lot. This is the final approved. And it was starting to slip into non-standard territory. It was concerning me. So Michael and Linda and I had a conversation about, do we actually need to do this, or would it not fit into other existing member types? And is it needed at this time? So we came to the conclusion, and this is really for Jeff and John, that at this point in time, we do not think that we need another member class, and we will stand down for now. We can always revisit it later. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
None, and agreed.
Okay.
Denise, where would the, so shipper or shipper as agent fall into? DFM, contributing member?
Well, this is sort of where we were going. This was would have been the proposal. And again, we've pulled back. I kept it just in case it came up, but it's sort of like a hybrid. I think it was leaning more towards a DFM because
Okay.
they would need initial payment. They would have to sign a license agreement. That looks, you know, if it quacks like a duck and it swims like a duck, maybe it's just a duck, right?
Okay, thank you.
So I kind of look at it like if there was a shipper that had deployed a technology solution to be their control center, and that was a DFM platform that they could search capacity with, they would be that shipper or shipper's agent.
Yes. Let's not allow this to drive us quackers.
That's what I mean. It's just it's really in the weeds, and we don't need it right now. If the community comes up with the fact that we need it in the future, we can add it. But for us to try to work our way through it, we don't have enough data points or sources of intel to be able to form an effective new member class. And Denise, I just want to say that as I look at the member class list and your concern of the number of them, if you can go to the one that is currently the one that's current, the member C is literally somebody that goes to our WordPress page, and it's there because of the fact that from an antitrust perspective, we and from an inclusion perspective, we wanted and needed to be able to have a way for Joe, a contributing member side. We do have several of those that are currently in the system, and a member class N, truly that DFM member. But the EA of just somebody that would subdivision of N, and the second class that's highlighted in the darker gray that's really not available yet of the EN, those are also really a subset of the N. So we really only have three classes, which is C, CL, or CI and N. The EA and EN is an option off of N. They're not separate classes. That's how I looked at it. So when we talked about adding a new class, I didn't look at it like it would be a sixth. I looked at it that it would be like a fourth. Because the ones that are to the right, you can't have those without being an N. Right?
I think it's a matter of interpretation. I looked at it as adding complexity because now you have things that you have to explain. And I did look at it as adding a six. It's another flavor. But I'm conscious that everyone interprets this differently, and perhaps it was just me. But in any event, I think we reached a good conclusion. We can always revisit it later if we need to. But I think at this point in time, right now, I think we all agree we just don't need to.
Correct. Move on.
Okay, so next.
I second that.
Okay. It is Friday afternoon too. All right, so that was these two. So Michael, the technical report, is there anything that you wanted to say as a preamble? And do you also want me to play the Zoom recording where Deepak sort of takes us through?
Well, I would love for John to see that so that there's a familiarity. So, I mean, John, I know you've got to get off for a 4 o'clock call, you said?
Yes.
So, I mean, this is not a long demonstration. It's maybe 15 minutes. Is that accurate, Denise?
Yeah, and I've got it teed up to where it needs to be so we can stop it in any, obviously.
Yeah, just make sure you select the option that plays the sound on it so that we can hear Deepak narrating, because I'm always enjoyed Deepak's narrations.
If I make a suggestion, please, may I suggest Deepak's movie be at the end of the other business?
I think this is the last thing, sir.
Oh.
if I'm correct, Denise.
Yeah. Well, I think was there new business also?
There is new business, and that was the accounting working group.
Then can we deal with the accounting working group and then watch the movie?
We certainly can, and I can give a brief update on the accounting working group, which is the fact that there is a technological discussion to take place on Tuesday morning related to an accounting package for empowering what would be the accounting module. But short of that meeting, I really don't have much that I can add to it except for the fact that we don't have a working group established, or we don't have somebody who would run it at the moment.
Do you have a favored accounting package?
So, John, one of the things that we're contemplating with the way that this can be established is the fact that there's micro-transaction capability.
Yes.
And with the data, having a platform that can account for micro-transaction movement of funds is an important attribute. So that's what I'm evaluating on Tuesday morning.
Good on you, because that's exactly where I would be coming from. In other words, this is not in effect a traditional invoice
No, this is not QuickBooks and an invoice for service.
Right.
This is going to be electronic funds transfers settled at the end of each day for transactions that have taken place. I mean, there's a fluid that is being consumed by doing the messaging that our service has.
Denise, when you talk with Peter, you might want to set up a subsequent call with Michael, Peter, and you.
Okay.
You may find that he has a toolkit, not necessarily his, but he delves around this world, Michael, of, electronic fund transfer generated by exchanges.
Those are the type of folks that we're talking about, because we don't necessarily, John, want to get into the factoring business or the settlement of transaction business, but just the way that this industry is set up, having the recognition of the fact that moving of dollars or moving of currency or moving of credits or moving of tokens is going to be something that's to support here. I really want to just explore what the option of that area is, and we've really left it as the last thing to be able to do, because if I literally had to collect the first fee from everybody and have the first thing that the development team is working on as being the credit card authentication or the validation of an ETF from a bank account, those are pieces that need to be addressed, but they're ones that I think will be inside of the platform I'm evaluating. That's good.
I'm done. Roll the movie.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Can you hear it?
Can hear it, but we can't see it. Can you share your screen?
Yes, yes.
Well, so before I actually dive into the demo, I would like to say a little bit how the demo works out, because it is not a kind of completely web interface. Most of the things happens internally through the script. So I would like to say shortly how the things works out. So it's something like, so here's a DFM1, which is supposed to send a load payload to ATR1. So ATR1 actually received the load information. This is just an example: license number, driver number, and ATR1, when it receives this information, it creates the hash and it sends the information to DIS. So and the DIS sent that hash to data lake into the particular database table, and at the same time, this DIS sent data to the Kafka, right? So Kafka is actually it is a broadcasting tool. So what it does is, when the data in the Kafka arrives, so there are certain consumers. So here we have ATR2 as a consumer, who is supposed to consume the data that comes in Kafka, right? So when DIS sends data to Kafka, ATR2 receives that data instantly. And I'll show you how the data in ATR2 actually executes through the ATR2 terminal. And when the ATR2 receives the data, it sends that hash to DFM2, right? So we don't have actually DFM2 in our site, right? Neither DFM1. So we are just assuming that there will be certain API which will be called by DFM2 for the matching purpose. So for now, we are assuming that DFM2 calls the API and it gets the hash and it matches the information in its platform. And when the hash is matched, so for now we are assuming that the math is successful. So it sends the information, the notification as per our language, the notification to ATR2, and ATR2 sends that notification directly to DIS, and DIS store the information to data lake. So this is how the things are supposed to flow. So now I'm going to demo how the things gets executed. So we have actually implemented Swagger. Swagger is, it is easy to test the API that we develop. So most of the application, most of the functionality in the ATR are based on the API, right? So we have used Swagger to test our API. So now let's assume that DFM1 is sending some information, this information to ATR1. So this is the information. This is the default information. I'm customizing it. 99. So like when I just execute this, the hash of this information is created in the data lake. This information goes to DIS. So this information goes to DIS, and DIS send information to data lake, right? So we don't have anything to verify, like whether the right or whether the hash of this information is actually stored in the data lake or not. So I have a way to verify that. So there is a, so this is another Swagger. So what it does is I'm showing you the last hash that exists in the database, right? And from there we can like when I submit when I submit this load from here, we can confirm like the new hash is created in the database, right? So this is the last one. Just you can just notice these last 4 characters, Y2D5I. As well as there is also date, but I think the date I already have tested, so there may be a couple of few other hashes over there. But now for now you can just take a note of these 5 characters, Y2D5I. Okay, so I'm executing this load. That means DFM is sending the load to ATR1. So when I execute this one, that means DFM1 is sending the load to ATR1, right? Okay, this looks the load has been successfully sent to DIS. So here is a notification. So let's see in the database whether, let's see in the data lake whether the new hash is created or not. Just Y2D51 is the last one. I'm just refreshing the database. Yeah, see here, the new hash is created, right? This is the last one. The Y2D51 is the last one, and it is the new hash we have created out of those 5 data. So we have created the hash by the encryption method. So we have verified that the data in the data lake is stored. Now the data should also go to Kafka, right? This is a kind of synchronous mechanism. When data is stored in data lake, it also goes to Kafka. So now let's see in the Kafka. Yeah, this is Kafka. There are so many things to understand in the Kafka. So we are dealing with a load. So we have created a topic called load. So it is nothing like it is a load is something like a database table. So we are creating a load database table in Kafka. So we can understand this stuff in the simple way. So let's see whether that hash or the load that we had created here also exists in the Kafka or not. Of course, it should also exist in the Kafka to broadcast to other ATRs. Yeah, I think this is the hash, right? This is the hash created. Let's verify. 05GHG. 05GHG. Yeah, the hashes matches. That means this is the like this is the hash that we have created in the Kafka. So
Did it push it twice, or the two
Yes.
different? Okay.
yeah, we have got it. Yeah, there is a issue. We got to fix this. Yeah, in the Kafka, the record is being sent twice. So we need to fix this. Yeah, thank you. for
Phantom
catching
data.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be fixed.
Okay, we can't be the ones introducing phantom data.
That's what I'm saying. They're phantom data. We can't have duplicated data from our system.
Yeah, this is actually it is the technical issue. This is not.
Yeah, I
anything. This is a
know.
technical-
I'm teasing. I'm being somewhat humorous. It's part of the early phasing of what happens here, and right now the record is being written correctly twice. So you good pickup, Jeff. We see it. We know that it's happening. It's something technical still to be able to work out within the actual work with the code.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for explaining this.
Yeah,
Uh,
Deepak and I talked about this 2 days ago, so I saw the same thing.
Right. So here is ATR2, right? So what should happen here is when Kafka receives data, ATR2 should also receive instantly because the ATR2 one of the API of ATR2 is actually always listening Kafka load. Kafka, this is the load topic, right? We are dealing with the load topic. So what is happening is in the ATR2 we have created such a APIs which is actually listening to Kafka load topic. So when new data is stored in the load topic, then instantly the ATR2 or ATR3, if there are few other ATRs, so all of them will know about it, right? And they will pick the new data from the Kafka and send it to DFM2. So we need to make sure whether ATR2 actually has got the hash or the Kafka that we just have seen in Kafka framework, right? So here is just give me a second.
So Michael, tell me how long you want me to run this, okay?
So here is a command actually to run the ATR2 logging system, right? So I would like to request you to check this the hash. So this is the hash actually that is received. So this hash is actually sent. This hash is actually sent by Kafka, and or let's say ATR2 has received this hash from Kafka. So you can just note the last 5 characters, which is similar with the hash that was created in the data lake, right? So here is also the same issue. So we got to fix this, right? So this was the older one. So now what should happen is ATR2 sends data to DFM2, right? So DFM2 is supposed to do some kind of matching mechanism, matching process inside this system. So DFM2, like ATR2 sends data to DFM2, it processes something and it sends back the data to ATR2, right? So ATR2 send that the matching or the notification back to DIS. So here is and DIS stores that notification to data lake. So how to verify this information, this process? So it will be only verified when the notification sent by DFM2 is stored in data lake. So I'm going to show you whether that matching notification.
This is the last piece, John.
DFM2 is actually stored in data lake or not.
I got it.
You got it? Is that it? Is that
No, keep going. Just let it keep playing. I was just telling John that this is the last component,
This is a
and
load match. This is a different table, right? So before we had load, now we have a load match. So so these are the actually the fields. I'll show you the last notification later. But I would like to say I would like to talk further about the fields that we are using to store the notification sent by DFM2. So it is the DFM ID. So here is and this is the hash that was actually used in the matching, and the status code it is 1. So it means it is a success, and there is also a mechanism to store the message, and this is updated and created date, right? So now I'm going to show you the hash that was actually sent by DFM2. Check the hash, the last 5 characters, also the date and time, right? And the notification message, status code, DFM ID. Yeah, so this is the information. This is the notification. This is actually the notification sent by DFM2 to ATR2, and it is stored in data lake through DIS. Sorry. Yeah, so this is all we have developed, and there are different pieces, like pieces of the functionality which we have executed in the Docker containers. Like ATR1 is running in one container, data lake is running in another container, DIS is another, Kafka is another. There are so many containers we have managed to show this demo.
so you can stop it here.
Okay.
Very cool,
So,
D-Man.
like,
Thank you.
So John, that was Wednesday.
I got it.
So all of the pieces to move the data work, but this Kafka engine can really do a lot of stuff, and we don't have it doing a lot of stuff yet. It is we're in search of at the moment a real Kafka expert from an architectural standpoint, because the volume of transactions for the providers that we're looking to engage with initially is massive, and the messaging needs to be really slick.
So look up a company called AMSYS. And
SYS.
yeah, and call the guy and tell him what you're looking for, and he'll tell you who it is.
And the guy is?
AMSYS are a contract provider of blockchain contract programming staff from janitor level up to CEO.
Okay. Yeah, we've done some searching on like some job freelance boards that are worldwide freelance boards, and we found a couple of resources that have some talent, but we would set all of this up in a satellite system that was in a sandbox, and that person would have full
we are
autonomous to that. But
yeah, Consensus Health is a Kafka house, for want of a better description. It's what drives much of our work. I have had to become aware of the words or the vocabulary of blockchain software over the last 6 months that has forced me, I'm Kafka and Corda and MongoDB, and I've been through the Ethereum induction, the Hyperledger induction. I'm up to my ears in Kaleido architecture, and
you are literally Dr. Blockchain, I believe.
I am, sir, and I have become so because I'm the only person who can diagnose every sickness that can come from it.
Well, we so appreciate having you here, and I know that you're running short on time. Denise, is there anything else we need to cover business-wise to wrap up the adjournment of this meeting?
Unless we have new business. Anyone have any new business?
No, ma'am, not from me. I've got the pleasure of being on a panel with you in February.
Yes, yes, yes. I was on a call earlier today with the.
Yep.
Yes,
Um,
oh, that, excellent.
And I addressed the University of Arkansas's Blockchain Center of Excellence the other day. And basically, I think the phrase is brought the house down. It worked well, as it always does, Denise, in those moments when, fortunately, and I'm not being unkind to the other people before I say my remark. I'm just giving the facts of the matter.